Now, the SASSA has experienced a rise in the number of rejection rates, that is, particularly for the COVID-19 grant applications. This can be attributed to several factors, such as a mismatch between details provided by beneficiaries and reliance on the information derived from data sets obtained from the institutions such as the UIF as well as the Revenue Service databases, among others. Now, in August, there was a significant increase in the number of rejections as SASSA implemented an additional step of means testing applications against banks. This was done to ensure that the applications or requirement for applicants to have no income was met. For more, let's talk to Busisiwe Khambula, who is the CEO at SASSA, and she joins us now. Busisiwe, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. In a time like this, one perhaps may wonder that it's something that we perhaps should have looked at and thought about a little bit earlier on. It's affected quite a few people already, and now another 1.9 million people are going to be affected through this. Is it a positive and a better step and a way to move on for the grant system?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to engage so that the clients can understand as to what it is that we're trying to do. As indicated earlier, you remember that the AG had to do a number of audits just to make sure that all the issues that are related to the COVID grants across the board are actually that we're implementing whatever it is that we're implementing according to what the rules or what the directions were that were defined by the minister before we started the process. When we started earlier on, about 5 months ago, when we started the process, some of the data sets are data sets that we didn't have, hence we didn't implement them at the time. So the issue of the means test was something that was in the pipeline, but we just did not have the information at the time. Having implemented the means test, it therefore took out about 1.9 million clients, which actually the minister and DSD, which is our policy-making institution, was actually very unhappy about and said the challenge with that is that much as we're applying the means test, which is not necessarily wrong in terms of administrative justice, it doesn't take care of everybody else that does not necessarily have a bank account. Hence, we have now vetted back and took all those 1.9 million people that we had subsequently rejected and have put them back in the system because they had already been paid for the first 3 months, so we'll continue to pay them until the end of the period.
So does that basically mean then that, as you said, all those that were rejected will no longer be rejected, but if they've missed out on any payments, which hopefully by what I'm getting from you is that they haven't missed out on any payments as yet, but they will continue to then still be on the system?
I think we need to differentiate between the two. There were people that were rejected because they were found on UIF and other systems as we're doing the assessment. This does not apply to them. The people I'm referring to are the people that already received the grant for the first 3 months, but when we added a new layer, they then became rejected, but they had already received their grant for the first 3 months. Those are the ones who are reinstating. We're not reinstating all the people that were rejected because the others were rejected for good reason because they did come up on the other databases. So we need to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, so how does one then ensure that they meet the criteria then as you've now implemented this new means test?
Actually, the ones that we've applied the means test to are people that were already in the system, had applied, had been approved, have already been paid for the past 3 months. And the key criteria that we're applying is a criteria that we continue to apply without adding the additional layer of the means test. That you need to be a South African. Your ID details need to be correct details. That you need to have no income. So the issue of income is the income that you may be getting from other areas, be it UIF, be it the SASSA shops, be it any other grant that government may be providing. You cannot be receiving any other grant. And some of the people that we found interesting to find in our database are actually people that are in prison, which therefore means that they were also trying to double a dip because they're receiving support from government in terms of where we are, and now they're also applying for this. So all those data sets we were using before, we will continue to use.
Yeah, Busisiwe, one can imagine that COVID-19 has certainly detracted and distracted and certainly taken away quite a bit with regards to the administration of things like the SASSA grants. How big an impact did it have on the administration of your office?
I think it has had a positive and negative impact. Positive in a sense that we now have tools that we didn't have before that we are now going to apply not only in terms of COVID grant for the 350, but that we're going to begin to apply even in our other areas whereby we do find that there's some level of leakage which we can now get rid of going forward because we now have data sets that we didn't use in the past because we use people's affidavits and what people told us, but now we can validate against these other databases for the future. The negative impact is that we haven't been able to do anything else except 350. So it has also taken our eye off the ball in terms of making sure that in terms of the plans that we had for us to make sure that we would deliver for the future in terms of the demands of the new administration, that we have a new plan, we have a new strategy, that we can make sure that we begin to move people from being just grant beneficiaries and add value in their lives. That's where it's taken our eye off the ball.
Very finally then, you said, as you rightfully said, you needed to try and get back on track with many other aspects that you perhaps lost your eye on. How do you do that then in the midst of trying to catch up with the backlog and understanding then that you're dealing with a new normal and a different kind of future and administration moving on now? What exactly do you plan to put in place? How much more technological adoption and the like? How much more investment do you perhaps need in order to become even better?
I think the opportunity we have is we've already started on some of those things. Is that we realized with COVID-19 that it's not all the time that people need to be coming to our offices for them to be able to access the products that we have, for lack of a better word, or the services that we deliver for our people. We started piloting a possibility for people to be able to apply for a grant without coming to our office, and that we're going to launch actually this month, so that people don't always have to come to our offices and actually queue. And this is what we're going to do anyway, but we had to fast track it now that we have this opportunity and we've started doing things differently. And this has been a great opportunity for us, and we're going to begin to roll out in April. We're going to start actually with two particular grants, which is actually the children's child support grant and the grant for the elderly, because that you can do without coming to our offices. But the one of disability, which I think has impacted a lot of people, because we believe that with more and more people that have lost their jobs, we need to continue to innovate and work differently and use more of technology, and also ensure that with us having to do more with less, that we actually use technology for us to get the job done and actually improve the skills of our people.
Ms. Busisiwe Memela Khambula, thank you so much for the time. Yours is not an easy task, that's one thing for sure, but we do wish you all the best with it. Please do return on to SABC News and we can get more updates with regards to where SASSA is sitting and just how we have improved or could improve things even further. Appreciate your time this afternoon. SASSA CEO there, Busisiwe Memela Khambula.